Uber is now accepting cash as payment. Let's talk about that. Hey everyone, my name is Chris and welcome to the RideShare Guy. And today we're going to be talking about Uber taking a new payment method, which is cash. They all say cash is king, but is it going to be here? Now this is an exact opposite of what Uber started off as. It was supposed to be seamless, easy. You order the ride, in 5 minutes it shows up, it's done, it's over. The credit card is processed, payment is received for the driver, and then payment is given from the passenger. Completely seamless. So this is a complete change and a 180 on what Uber has been talking about over the last decade and plus. So today we're going to be talking about how it works, how cash trips actually work when you are driving. We're also going to be talking about best practices, and then we're going to end on my overall thoughts and if it's available in your area. So basically, Uber is saying that they believe transportation should be accessible to everyone and that not all riders actually have access to bank accounts or credit cards, and saying that about 15% of US households are considered unbanked or often rely on other payment methods like cash. So enter cash. That's what that means. So let's get right into it. How do cash trips work? Cash trips function just like any other Uber trip with a few key differences. And it says you're going to know the upfront when a trip is cash-based. So it's going to show right on the ping screen, cash-based trip. You're going to know at the end of the trip, you're going to collect the fare directly from the rider in cash. And then your earnings summary is going to reflect cash payments differently than with those digital transactions. So the first thing that you need to know is riders are going to be verified, and there's going to be the trip offer card. So only verified riders can use cash as payment method. And this is going to have riders that have passed certain criteria when it comes to identity checks, such as sharing a government-issued ID with Uber. So before you can accept a trip, your offer card will display the verified badge showing that they have been confirmed, a cash badge so you know that it's going to be upfront right away, they're going to pay in cash, and then the rider's rating for additional peace of mind, as pretty much it's always been, plus the pickup and the drop-off. Cash trips are only available between 6 a.m. and 10 p.m. local time. So depending on where you are in the country, it's 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. local time. When it ends, you will be able to collect the payment and put that into the app. So you're going to see the expected fare amount, and then you're going to enter the exact amount the rider hands you, even if they overpay or underpay. And they put in this, important for your safety, never argue with the rider about payment. If there's an issue, Uber will handle the remaining balance. See the FAQ section for more details on overpayment or underpayment, which I'll leave a link to the description below for the article that Uber had put out, so you can see that FAQ section. When it goes to trip receipts and earnings balance, once that is completed, your trip receipt is going to show how much you received in cash. This amount is going to appear as negative payout since you already collected it directly from the Uber. So in this circumstance, they're going to say that your earnings, the fare was $5.11, had a $3.36 fare with a $1.75 surge. So that's how you've got the $5.11. The payout was $6.08. So the trip balance shows a negative of 97 cents. You can see how it's going to be a little bit different. You can opt out currently. So if you don't want to accept cash trips, you can opt out in the preferences. All eligible drivers are automatically opted in when the feature launches, but opting out just takes a few taps and you can opt back in whenever you like. So as you can see, it's right underneath your trip preferences in the filters. So here's a couple of things though that you want to know when it comes to what Uber recommends when it talks about prioritizing your safety. And that is, you never argue over payment. If a rider doesn't have enough cash, collect what they can pay and Uber will cover the rest. You'll always receive what you are owed. Whether you carry cash is up to you. For change, you can tell any rider that Uber will provide their change as Uber Cash in the app. Store cash securely, keep it out of sight from other riders and others. Deposit regularly, so minimize the amount of cash you are carrying by making frequent deposits. Cancel if you feel unsafe. You always have the option to cancel a trip before pickup. Cash trips will only be available between 6 a.m. and 10 p.m. local time. And use Uber's in-app safety features, including live help with a safety agent, Record My Ride, which lets you record audio and video for added security, 24/7 safety incident reporting. And then, like I say, if you want to check more information, they do have an FAQ. I will leave a link in the description so you can check that out. But let's talk about, is this going to be worth it for drivers or not? Well, there's definitely pros and cons to carrying cash. Absolutely. So the first thing, though, that I like is you don't actually have to carry a bank on you, which is really nice. So you don't have extra money that you need to worry about or make change. You can easily just tell anybody who is paying in cash, if you don't have change, that you will put the exact amount that they pay, and then the rest will be in Uber Cash in the future, which means it is going to be like the digital cash form. And that just goes towards their next ride or next order when it comes to Uber Eats. So that at least is good. If you want to carry cash on you, you can. One of the things, though, that you need to know is, yes, this is a service industry. So having the cash on hand might be an option if you want to carry cash. If you don't want to carry cash, you don't have to. So that is nice. The second thing that I do like about this when it comes to being a pro is it is only available during certain times. So it's not going to avoid the night rush. It's not going to avoid drunk hours. It's not going to avoid where there could be confrontation or where things could get a little sketchy. So at least they're trying to minimize that. The next thing on top of that is they are going to pay you what you are owed. So if you're not able to collect enough payment from a rider, well, you know what? At least you're going to be able to make ends meet and get paid what you're supposed to. They can handle the rest when it comes to not being paid. And that's actually a good thing in my opinion, because they're the ones who are going to deal with it. You're just a driver picking somebody up, dropping them off. So yeah, it's pretty accurate when it says don't argue over a payment. Now, this is where it's going to get a little tricky because we've seen issues when it comes to payment. When it comes to somebody throwing up in the back seat or a cleanup fee or something that happens like that damage fee. There's sometimes trouble when it comes to drivers trying to get the payment. So if this is going to be something that happens frequently where riders are not paying the amount that they're supposed to in cash, and then it leaves Uber up to trying to get that money, then it becomes a he said, she said of what had happened. Has they actually paid the right amount and the driver put it in wrong? So this opens up a can of worms when it comes to this. So this is why you should always have a dash camera on hand. In fact, part of what they actually said was have the Record My Ride feature enabled, and then that way you can actually have that. But I'd rather take it one step further where you actually have a dash camera. You can count the money in hand at the moment on camera, and then that way if there's any discrepancy where they're not paying enough, save that footage, and then you can use that footage if there's ever a problem when it comes to Uber. But strongly recommend having dash cam footage, especially in the inside when it comes to taking cash rides. Now, another good thing is you can opt out or opt in anytime you want. So if you don't want to take cash rides, you don't even have to worry about it. You can opt out, don't worry about it. But one of the things is, as we've all seen, if you don't use the app for a while or update it, sometimes those features do turn back on mysteriously. So if you don't want to take a ride like Uber Pet, or if you don't want to take Uber Eats, sometimes it's just automatically turned back on and you don't necessarily know what's going on there. So with that being said, make sure you check your preferences regularly. And if you see that cash badge when it comes to the ping screen, you know that's a cash trip. So if you don't want to take it, just decline it and then make sure you turn that preference off. Now let's talk about my thoughts overall on this. I'm kind of torn. I mean, carrying cash can be a safety risk, but because it is during certain times, it's not really too bad. And also the fact that you don't have to carry a bank, you don't have to carry cash on hand to make change. That is actually a beneficial thing, because if they overpay, then it goes to Uber Cash. As long as it's not a problem when it comes to tips, because let's say a ride comes to $10 and they pay you $15. If you put it in there as $15, are you only going to get paid on that $10 and then have to worry about that tip? Going to Uber Cash or something like that. So that is a little bit of an issue. One of the things I may recommend, if it is a tip, you might put in just to cover the amount, and then the extra would go as a cash tip to you. I don't know how it's going to handle. I don't have it available yet, but when I do find out, we will make sure to mention it on Show Me the Money Club, which you can watch live Tuesdays, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. And of course, we are going to be talking about this on tomorrow's episode. So if you're watching this on Monday when it's released, or Tuesday, make sure you check out Show Me the Money Club live Tuesdays, especially at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific on this next following day, because we are going to be talking about it between whether it's going to be worth it or not. And like I said, for me, it's going to be up to you and what you want to do. One of the things, though, that I always like to say is open yourself up to as many possible trips as you can, because that means you're going to have less downtime, which is going to put more money in your pocket. So if you feel comfortable carrying cash, or if you feel comfortable taking cash and then, doing what you need to when it comes to not having to necessarily pay cash back, then make sure you take advantage of that. If you don't want to take cash, then you don't need to take those rides and you just turn the preference off. It is a unique thing that they are coming out with. And, it just opens up more people, because that's what they want to try to do. They're trying to continually grow because they're hitting market saturation in different areas. So where else are they going to go? Cash rides is another way if it hits 15% of U.S. households. So it is pretty unique when it comes down to it. But I want to know what your thoughts, and what are you going to do? Are you going to accept cash trips, or are you going to turn that filter off? And then also anything beyond that. What do you think? Put in the comments and let us know. All right. And with that being said, make sure you drive smart, drive safe especially, and we'll see you in the next video.